This is a homework help video for 5.5, Worksheet 1. Okay, the top section, you can all do in the calculator. The way you can tell that is there's no variables at all. These are just numbers you can put in the calculator. So let's go ahead and do the odds real quick. Number 1, we have square root of 36. Now the reason I know it's square root is if there's not a number on your radical, it's understood to be a 2. So that is called square root of 36. If you don't already know that, we can go ahead and put that in. I'm going to show you this button. You don't have to use it, but I'll show you. There is a default square root button right here. Control and then x squared. That is going to be square root. You put in 36 and push enter. The answer is 6. Now the button that Mr. J taught you guys, which I think is better because you can do all the types of roots, that is control caret right here. You get to choose what your root is. I want to put a 2, and then you put in your 36 again, you get the same answer. So if you just want one go-to button, definitely do the control caret. That's the one that can do all these types of problems. But I'm just letting you know there is another square root button that saves you one step if you want to do square roots. Okay, number 2, just to make things easier for you guys, I'm going to go ahead and do control caret for all of these, by the way, after I just showed you the other one. So this is square root of 100. I'm going to do control caret. Since it is square root, I put a 2 here, put in 100. The square root is 10, and that's an even. I noticed right when I was doing the problem, so I just gave you a free even numbered problem. You're welcome. Okay, number 3, cube root of 64. Let's go ahead and do control caret. I need to put a 3 here, arrow to the right to get in the radical, put 64. The answer is 4. All right, number 5. We have the cube root of 1. Okay, so control caret, cube root, pushing 3 on the outside, and then 1, push enter. The cube root of 1 is 1. Now, just to make sure you understand what these roots mean, it means if you work backwards, if I work backwards on number 1, 6 times 6 is 36. 6 squared is 36. Here, 10 squared is 100. Here, 4 times 4 times 4, or 4 to the third, is 64. That's when you go the other way. And here, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so these things that we're doing are basically like the opposites of exponents. 10 times 10 is 100. Well, the square root of 100 is 10. Okay, number 7, we have the 4th root of 81, but then inside the radical, the 81 is squared. We can put all that right in the calculator. So I'm going to do control caret, put in my 4 for the 4th root, arrow to the right to get inside. I'm going to write it exactly how I see it. So I'm going to put parenthesis 81, and then arrow out of the parenthesis, and you know how to put the exponent. Put the caret button. I pushed this button right here to get my little exponent box, and I put 2. Push enter, the answer is 9. So that's all the top ones. Those are the ones you can all do in the calculator. Now the rest of this paper you cannot do all in the calculator, but I'm going to show you what I think is an intuitive visual way to remember how the numbers fall. And I'm literally saying the numbers are going to fall. If you imagine this strange fraction exponent, imagine that as a tree, and the base that it's attached to pushes the tree over. So this x pushes over my 4 over 9. The 4 over 9 goes timber splat right here. The bottom of the tree pretty much stays where it is, right? The 9 is here. But the 4 on top fell over to the right and lands over here. That is the order of your numbers. You write your radical. The 9 that stayed where it was is on the radical. and then you write x inside the radical. The 4 that's on the right-hand side goes on the x inside the radical. So you have the 9th root of x to the 4th power. That's it. Okay, it took a little while to explain it, but now that you have the visual, it won't take long at all to do the rest of these in the same manner. So we're going to do timber. This goes over to the right. The 3 stays where it is. The 5 goes over to the right. This is my order of my numbers. I draw my radical. The 3 goes on the outside on the left. The 216x stays inside. I'm even going to write it in parentheses still. And it's to the 5th power. So you get that. Now, just so you know, whenever you're dealing with numbers, that 216 is a number. I could do 216 caret 5 in the calculator and get a huge number, and I could write that inside there. So keep that in mind, that that's something that you have available to you if you have to do that. Right now, we're going to keep it nice and smaller looking and leave it like this. Okay, let's check out number 13. 4096x, and it's all raised to the 1/4 power. I do my little timber trick. It falls over to the right, the 4 stays over here, and the 1 falls over to the right. So I have the 4th root, 4 on the left. I write my 4096x, and I put it in parentheses, and that is raised to the 1 power. Now, when you write that in the simplest terms, something raised to the 1 power is the same number. So we would take that answer, but to simplify it even further, it would basically just be this. You don't even have to write the parentheses or the 1 power. All right? Both those answers are the same. Okay, number 15, we have 25x, all raised to the 1/2 power. I push over my tree. The 2 stays here, the 1 goes over here. So that's the order of my numbers. I have the 2 here, and then I have my 25x in the parentheses inside the radical, and I have this to the 1 power. But now we're going to simplify it even further and not write the stuff that we don't have to. We know that anything that's to the second root, we call that square root. We know we don't have to write that too, so I can actually leave it as invisible. And anything raised to the 1 power is the same as what you have already, so I don't have to write the parentheses or the 1 power. So you end up with the square root of 25x like that. Both those answers are correct, but this is the simplest form. Okay, go to the bottom, number 17. Write each expression in exponential form. Simplify if possible. Use calculator. So back to the calculator. I'm going to go ahead and do my control caret. 3 for the cube root. Go inside the radical and put 1,000. Push enter. The answer is 10. So that's one we could all do in the calculator because there were no variables involved. But number 19, we have variables involved. Now, we're not going to simplify the numbers yet. We're getting to that really soon. But right now, we're just going to kind of keep doing what we've been doing. The way you can do this is the opposite of what we were doing right above. We now want to put this in exponential form. So my 81 is in the radical. It does not have an exponent. Notice it's not in parentheses like several other problems were. This little 3 exponent only belongs to the d. So keep that in mind. What we're going to do is I want to rewrite this as 2 different problems. I have 81 to the 1 power times d to the 3 power. And all this is inside my 4th root, okay? The reason that's important is because when we push up our trees the other way, we're going to have two different exponents. This is 84 to the 1 power. That 3 doesn't belong to it. Okay? So you know how we knock the tree over? Now we're going to push the tree up. The 81 portion is 81 to the 1/4 power. Okay? And the D is D to the, push that tree up, to the 3/4 power. Now the good news is, half of this problem we can put in the calculator. We can do 84 to the 1/4 power and see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 81. Hold on. 81 caret, but in my caret and my exponent, I'm going to push Control Divide to get my little fraction box and put in 1/4. Push enter. 84 to the 1/4 power is 3. So my simplified answer is 3 D to the 3/4 power. That one was a little tricky. Okay, finally on the bottom, we have the square root, because there's no number here on the radical, of 49W, all full quantity squared. Okay? Now this one's interesting. There's a few ways you can approach this. In short, something's going to cancel out. But if you don't see that immediately, I'm just going to show you mathematically what happens, and it'll make more sense to you that you'll see why it cancels out. We know that there's a 2 here. I'm going to go ahead and write it in. And we talked about when you are writing it going back to exponential form, you're picking your tree back up. So this 2 is going to go over here to the top. So when I rewrite it, I have 49W, still in parentheses, and my exponent is 2 over 2. 49W all raised to the 2 over 2 power. Well, what is 2 over 2? 2 over 2 is the same thing as 1. So it's really 49W all raised to the power of 1. And we said earlier, anything raised to the power of 1 is the same thing. So the answer to this is 49W. Okay, I know this is a lot. It's very wordy what I'm saying. You may have to pause the video a few times and really think about what we're doing. In short, what you see here is when you're doing a square of something and you're also taking the square root of something, the squaring and the square root cancel each other out and you just end up with what you have right there, 49W. All right, that is worksheet 1. I know it's a lot and we have a lot more to learn, so just keep staying on task and we will get you to understanding all this stuff. Thank you.